Hello, my name's Andy McElroy and I'd like to talk to you about time. In particular, I'd like to talk to you about a theory of time involving two time dimensions that I think will make it a lot easier for you to understand relativity and a lot of the things that we see around us. In order to do this, I'm going to use a bottle of rice wine and my Christmas wrapping paper. I'm going to start off with an experiment. I'm going to count to two, and I'd like to tell me what's changed. Right, here we go. 1001, 1002. Okay, what's changed? We'll do it again. 1001, 1002. Now you're probably thinking the bottle's moved. It's moved from here to here, through space about 50 centimetres, and that's a change, and that you'd be absolutely right. But I'd also ask, so what else has changed? So we'll do the experiment again, and the clue is in what I'm saying. 1001, 1002. Okay? So the other thing that's changed, as well as moving through space, this bottle has also moved through time by 2 seconds, as we counted. Okay, we're going to do another experiment now, slightly simpler. I'm going to count to two. I want you to think, what's changed? 1001, 1002. Okay, this time the bottle's not moved through space, but it has moved through time by 2 seconds. And it's that concept of movement through time which underpins everything that I'm going to talk about in this short series of talks. And I think you'll find the outcome enlightening. Okay, now just to make it a bit simpler, to start talking about and visualising this extra dimension of time, we're going to simplify things by removing two of the dimensions of space. We're just going to envisage movement through one direction in space, just assume it's stationary in the other two, and we'll call this the x direction. This is the space direction. This allows us to visualise then a dimension of time. We'll have time moving in this direction. So when the bottle is moving through space, it's moving this way. When it's moving through time, it's moving this way. And in the experiment that we just did, I counted 1001, 1002. The bottle was moving through space and time, right? So we're doing 1001, 1002. At the end of the experiment, it's moved slightly in space, but it's also moved slightly in time. Okay. Now, just to make things again easier to understand, and I'd like to accept one more postulate, and that is that in this four-dimensional space-time, everything moves at a constant speed, the speed of light. So, but the speed of light in the four dimensions. And to help visualise this, this is where the Christmas wrapping paper comes in. So the Christmas wrapping paper represents speed, and within this four-dimensional space-time there's a constant speed, and that's represented by the length of this roll of wrapping paper. So when the bottle's stationary, it's moving at the speed of light through time. So it's going very rapidly through time in this direction, represented by the wrapping paper. As it starts to move through space, it's going at a constant speed in space-time, so it has to tip over slightly here, so that you get a movement, a speed, in this direction through space. And if it was travelling at the speed of light through space, very fast, then it wouldn't be travelling through time at all. So that concept of travelling through space and time but at a constant speed underpins a lot of what I'm going to talk about. So why two dimensions of time? Well, in order for something to move, then it's moving, there is a rate of change. So in the experiment where the bottle's stationary, it's moving at the speed of light through time. But what does that mean, but moving at the speed of light? Well, it means it's moving, it's changing, so 1001, 1002 in this direction. And that movement through time suggests there is a rate of change in time. So there has to be a second time dimension, effectively. So what we call the actual dimension of time I described, we'll call that perceived time, but underneath it there's an absolute time, like a clock, which is driving the rate of change, because everything is in a constant state of change, moving at a speed, either through space or time. Everything's moving at this constant speed. and that's driven by this absolute time, which is the second dimension. Okay, that's the basic theory. There are 2 or 3 things you can derive from that, which I'm going to cover in a couple of additional talks shortly.